Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I have something to tell you, but I'm not going to be the one who do it. Who do it?
Hi friends, it's me, Giggles. I do the voice of Lily Madwhip here on MrCreepyPasta Storytime, and it's so much fun, and I'm so glad that you guys really like the narrations. And I am in a musical. So if you live in California and you can get yourself to the Moore Park area, I would love to invite you to Moore Park College's production of Little Shop of Horrors. In it, I am playing Ronette. Rehearsals have been amazing. The show is going to run from July 25th to August 11th. There will be more details on my channel, Little Ball of Giggles, so please keep up with those, and I'd love to see you at the show and say hi to you afterwards. Now on to tonight's story. Update. It's my first time camping, but things don't seem right out here. Hey everyone. First, I want to thank you all for all your comments and advice. I'm not gonna lie, it really freaked me out. I don't know anything about this Wendigo, Skinwalker, Fleshgate shit, but from the limited research I could do, basically my phone would only load the first page of Google, so I could just check out the result summaries. It's suffice to say that I am thoroughly frightened. I'm going to let you know what happened to me the last 24 hours, but first, I just want to clear up something that folks seem a little confused about. I'm not in the Pine Barrens. Ryder is from the Pines, but he took me to the Catskills in New York to camp. I'm not sure if that changes anything. Are skinwalkers and their ilk only in the Pine Barrens? Or can they be, like, in any woods? Regardless, I took your advice yesterday and decided to leave on foot to get help. I grabbed my backpack, threw water and food in, and set out down the very long driveway. Unfortunately, I didn't make it very far before Ryder found me. He emerged from the thicket of the trees on the left side of the trail about 15 minutes into my journey, dragging the axe in the dirt behind him. When I saw the look on his face, a cold, sinister expression, I took more of your advice and decided to pretend like nothing was wrong, despite the fact that my heart was thumping wildly in my chest. For my sake, I hope he is still human, or he could have surely heard it. Oh, there you are! Oh my god, Ryder, I've been looking everywhere for you! I was so worried. Come on, let's go back to the cabin. Without waiting for him to reply, I turned and started walking back the way I came. At first I wasn't sure if he was going to follow, but then I began to hear large, heavy footsteps behind me. They sounded so loud that when I turned around I almost expected to find a horse, but it was just Ryder, dragging the axe and his feet before each heavy step. He didn't say a word. When we arrived back at the cabin, I immediately went inside and put my things down. My heart was still racing, my whole body tingling with fear. I went to one of the windows and nearly jumped back in shock when I saw Ryder standing in front of the porch railing, staring stony-faced into the cabin. I forced myself to calm down and stepped outside. I leaned against the cabin wall, right against those horrifically large scratches, crossed my arms and turned my attention to Ryder. Hey, so, I could use a couple of things from the general store. What do you say we head into town for a nice dinner, and I can also pick up what I need? Ryder stared at me, so slow it almost seemed like slow motion. He blinked once. I don't know what it was about this, but it fucking creeped me out. It was almost like he wasn't registering anything I said. Just when I thought he was going to ignore me, he spoke one croaky, hoarse-sounding word.
No.
Oh. I continued trying to play it cool. Okay, well, no problem. Can I just have the keys then? I'm gonna run into town real quick and grab what I need, and then I'll come right back and we can have dinner by the fire again. This time, he didn't hesitate.
No.
For a moment, despite his behavior and the sound of his voice, I allowed myself to forget that this may not be my Ryder. I became exasperated. How dare he tell me I can't go anywhere? Oh, come on, Ryder. What is the deal? Just let me take your truck for a bit.
No!
He bellowed at me, the sound echoed, but it wasn't like any echo I've ever heard. It repeated over and over, maybe 3-4 times. It sounded like he was shouting it over and over, but he stood there, his mouth closed, gnashing his teeth, staring me down. I turned and ran inside. The next few hours, as the sun set, I watched as Ryder continued chopping wood. Stump after stump was cut down wordlessly, emotionlessly. By now, there is a giant stack of wood by the fire, far more than I could ever imagine we'd need. But he just keeps at it. I tried to send a few texts to friends, though none of them owned cars and could drive to get me, but because I was inside and not on the porch, none of them even went through. I didn't dare go outside. I wanted him to forget I was even in there. As the sun set, it cast a red glow into the cabin, and I was beginning to feel more and more panicked at the prospect of nightfall. I already had planned to leave again the next morning, I just needed to make it through the night. Night did come, and Ryder stayed outside, now sitting by the fire. Watching him through the window with the soft light of the flames illuminating his face, I felt a pull on my heart. That's the face of the man I love. That isn't a monster, it's Ryder, my Ryder. I'll admit I began to cry a bit, whether from all the stress or the fear, but I quickly backed away from the window when he snapped his head to the left and looked right at me. The next few hours were quiet. But then around 1 a.m. he stumbled into the cabin. He almost seemed drunk, but I knew he hadn't been drinking. I was lying in bed and immediately pretended to be asleep. I heard him shut the door and amble over to me with those same heavy steps. The bed squeaked under his weight as he settled in next to me. Now I laid as still as I could, barely daring to breathe, while behind me I could hear his own breathing, laborious and heavy, as if his lips were mere inches from my ear. Then he spoke in that strange husky voice, and the words sent shivers down my spine.
I love you, Gumdrop.
It wasn't his voice. Not the one I know, but it was his special nickname for me. It took everything within me not to burst into tears. Instead, I took a breath in and held it, keeping my eyes shut as tightly as I could. Moments later, I sensed he had fallen asleep as his breathing turned even and steady. I still didn't dare to move. I didn't sleep all night. I was too petrified. I laid awake, afraid to touch my phone or move an inch lest I wake him. It was the longest 8 hours of my life. Instead, all I did was make mental notes of what happened next, while staring at the red glowing numbers of the digital clock on the nightstand. 2 a.m., I heard a creaking on the porch, like someone was walking out there, but no footsteps. 2:26 a.m., there was a loud, sharp yap in the distance, just a single sound, like a small dog or a fox or something. 3:15 a.m., the scratching, raking noises again, only this time it sounded like it was behind the cabin, on the wall right behind our bed. I actually cried out a bit when I heard this started, but luckily it didn't wake Ryder. Neither did the scratching sounds, despite how loud they seemed to me. This continued for about 25 minutes. I think I almost had a panic attack at this point. It was really hard to even breathe. 4:05 a.m., the scratching noises have stopped, but now the roof of the cabin begins to creak, as if someone were walking across it back and forth. When it finally stops, it stops right above my head. 4:17 a.m., I hear that voice again, and it sounds just like Ryder's normal voice. Only this time, I don't think the repetitive phrase he's saying includes the word stop. Now I think it sounds like rot. From then until 8 a.m., things were quiet. I almost drifted off to sleep even at one point, but as I did, I was jolted awake by my own sense of panic. Finally, at 8, Ryder woke, stood up immediately, and slammed the screen door as he headed outside. I watched him leave and realized he still had on the same clothes as yesterday. He had slept in them, which also means the truck key is still in his pocket. I'm sitting at the kitchen table now, writing this update while I listen to him chop wood outside. He's been doing it for hours. I have my backpack ready to go again. The moment he leaves to collect more wood, I'm booking it down the driveway. I think it's about a mile to the main road. I'm not a runner and have never been super athletic, but I'm hoping my adrenaline and determination can get me there fast enough. Once there, I'm going to walk until I can hopefully flag down a driver to take me into town, and then I can call family and friends. I'm actually pretty afraid to hitchhike, but at this point, I kind of feel one danger outweighs the other. I also have to admit that there's a part of me that feels guilty leaving him here alone. But I've been reminding myself that if this man isn't my rider, then my rider might still be out there, and if so, he needs my help. Wish me luck, and please, if you have any more advice or even theories about what the fuck is happening, I could really use it right now. I'm hoping once I'm out by the main road, my phone will pick up a bit more signal. The last thing I'll do before I leave the porch and make my escape is post this. I just hope I can find someone before Ryder finds me again.
Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and thanks for listening to tonight's story. I really want to encourage you guys to take a look at the description, which I know that's not something you guys do on YouTube or on podcasts, but hear me out, okay? In the description of every single video that I've ever done, there's always going to be a link over to where you can find more from the author of the story. And I'm suggesting that you guys check them out because, let's be honest, without the authors, there are no creepypasta stories. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could be on here and tell you guys the cookie dough recipe off the back of a Chips Ahoy, but that's not going to be nearly as interesting. So seriously, if you guys are listening here on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify, or iTunes, or Google Play, then take a look. I also want to give a great big thank you to Andrew Steinberg, Andreas Solvik, TheGingerBroz, Dante, Rowe, Chompski, Melissa Siegwert, Sindee Barney, TheRedOakShieldVirus, Gabrielle de Baca, Asia, Tyler Ramberg, Nicholas Saeid Alyain, Brianna Tine-Janzen, Ken LAndo Higuchi, Erik Mary, Daniel Poulsen, Trey Smiles, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, and Wayne Milestead. These guys are the big boys over on patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, which you can always go to if you'd like to help support me and the show. That's it for tonight, guys, and sweet dreams.